What's going on, everyone? So, the San Antonio Spurs and Giannis Antetokounmpo have been linked for basically all offseason from like the moment that the Suns season was over. Boom, Giannis Antetokounmpo is a big piece, right? And look, Spurs still are fully interested in Giannis based on the reports that are out. If he becomes available, Spurs are one of those teams that are probably going to make a big play for him. But the question is Giannis ever actually going to become available? There's a lot of reports that say, depending on what the Milwaukee Bucks do, he very well in a month or so, as they inch closer to training camp, could request a trade and end up asking out. Maybe that ends up happening, but Giannis Antetokounmpo himself recently said that he's probably going to stay with the Milwaukee Bucks. The issue is, right, is he said probably. The Milwaukee Bucks ended up getting off of Damian Lillard, ends up bringing in a Miles Turner, right? Apparently that didn't sit very well with Giannis. Wasn't very happy about that, but you also got to imagine, if you're the Bucks, it's like, dude, Damian Lillard is not going to play for a year. Who knows where he is when he comes back? You want us to do something now, right? We have to do something. We upgraded a guy in Brook Lopez with a Miles Turner. You and Miles Turner are going to be one of the best, if not the best, front court defensive teams in all the basketball. Got a bunch of young guys that were good for you last year, right? But it's like, who's going to be that co-star alongside Giannis? That's the problem, right? Well, Bradley Beal is expected to be bought out, and the Milwaukee Bucks make a ton of sense for Bradley Beal. He could slot in just seamlessly there, kind of play the Damian Lillard role. And then all of a sudden, it's like we got Bradley Beal as your co-star, and you got Miles Turner as an upgrade over Brook Lopez. And the Eastern Conference is wide open. So it's very possible that if certain things kind of fall the Bucks' way, all of a sudden Giannis could be like, all right, let's ride it out. The problem is that if they don't get a Bradley Beal, or they don't make any other splash trades or moves, which they already had to get incredibly creative and stretch Damian Lillard over the next 5 years, which hinders them likely even beyond Giannis, because I don't know if Giannis is going to be there another 5 years. They're exhausting every final resource that they have. And I just, if you're Giannis, at what point do you look around and go okay, I'm only hurting this team's longevity. They're never going to be able to fix it to the point where I'm going to be able to win a championship again, and I'm only getting older. At what point does Giannis come to the realization and look at the situation? Now look, maybe Giannis is fine just in Milwaukee and he doesn't want to be the bad guy. Okay. But if he was ever going to leave, this is the year that you leave. Right? Because the Milwaukee Bucks literally are now ruining their future to make moves that aren't going to move the needle enough to make you a contender. Right? Miles Turner is excellent. Right? I think him and Giannis is going to be great. But again, is that enough to really move the needle to where now Milwaukee is one of the three best teams in the Eastern Conference? Probably not. Right? So to me, I just think it's one of those things where it almost feels as a matter of when, not if, Giannis asks out. Right? And look, if I'm Milwaukee, it's probably in their best interest to just be like, hey, dude, I understand they don't want to be the team that trades Giannis, but even just from an organizational standpoint, it makes the most sense to just be like, hey, dude, come on. Instead of us doing all this other stuff, it's time to go. Time to depart. Right? And, even waiving Damian Lillard at that point, you're getting young players, gives you cap flexibility. You figure it out, right? And that's where I think the Spurs can come in. I still think in the next month or so. Because again, Giannis saying probably isn't the answer that anyone's looking for. And again, if I'm Milwaukee, I hate that answer. Right? You're probably staying. What is it? What do we need to do to get you to stay? Right? What do you want? Right? What type of player, what type of team do you want? What type of structure? Right? Okay. And then the next question is it feasible? Is it possible? Can we actually do it? Right? Because how teams aren't just gonna do things out of the kindness of their heart. It's gotta make sense for those teams too. Right? And it's not like you have a bunch of tradable assets and players and all this other stuff. It's just is the Milwaukee Bucks team last year, which is basically what it is, right? Minus Damian Lillard, minus Brook Lopez, but added a Miles Turner. Okay, you upgrade in the Miles Turner or in the Brook Lopez department, but you don't upgrade in the Damian Lillard department. So you still don't have another star. Now you're relying on Gary Trent Jr. to be basically your second guy. And, yeah, look, he was great for them, had a great playoff run and stuff, but he's not a second guy. Like, not if you're being honest, right? So I don't see a path for Milwaukee to fix this. And I think that he's going to eventually be on the board. Question is one, what will it cost the Spurs? And two, is it worth it for the Spurs at this point, right? To me, I think it boils down, like, what does Wemby want, right? And are you planning on keeping De'Aaron Fox or not? Because there's already talks about them potentially looking to trade De'Aaron Fox, that they don't want to offer him the full max. And if they do pay him the max, they don't want to offer him the full years, right? So that kind of signals to me that you kind of want to go full-fledged youthful route, that you want De'Aaron Fox around for the next 2, maybe 3 years tops, and then Dylan Harper and everyone else is kind of making their step in, and then, you're kind of handing the keys over to those guys. Okay, that's fine. All right, you could do that, stay that course. Then there's no reason for you to go get Giannis. But if you're like, hey, let's kind of go all in and make a push here, because we might never get a guy like Giannis. None of these guys might ever even come close to being Giannis. Even Dylan Harper might not ever be as good as Giannis. Talk about two, all-time great and second best player in all of basketball, right? Like Dylan Harper could be like, Hall of Fame good and still not be as good as Giannis, right? Like that's how good Giannis is, right? So if you're the Spurs, you're going to have to make that decision if that ends up coming, right? It might be best for the Spurs if Giannis doesn't do that. Like if Giannis just stays in Milwaukee, because now you don't have that temptation. Now you don't have to worry about it. Now there isn't the question of like, oh, do we trade for Giannis or do we not? Right? At the end of the day, it's going to be, what does Wemby want? If Wemby's like, yeah, dude, go get Giannis and let's go try to win a championship now, right? Then you do that. But here's the other thing too. You go trade for Giannis, you're all in, right? You don't have time to let Dylan Harper and all these other guys develop for 3 years, because at that point, Wemby's, Giannis starting to decline, De'Aaron Fox starting to decline. You have De'Aaron Fox, Victor Wembanyama, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. You're all in. There is no, we're still gonna keep Castle and all the other. No, you're trading those guys to go get the pieces necessary so you can win a championship or two while you have Giannis and Victor Wembanyama. Right? That's what you're trying to do, right? Because otherwise, why would you even bother trading for Giannis? Like, you're gonna trade for Giannis and then spend 3 years developing guys? It's foolish, right? So, again, it might be in the Spurs' best interest, because I do think if Giannis becomes available, I do think the Spurs are going to go try to make a play on him, where if he really does end up staying with Milwaukee, well, then now you don't have to worry about it. Now, if you're the Spurs, it's just like, hey, good luck to you. And you just stay the course. So, Spurs are kind of in a win-win position regardless, but it's just, you don't want the Spurs to have to show their hand, so to speak, right? But let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.